have finally reached the truth. To the depth, no, to the peak of Mount Purgatory. Idiot. You really are an idiot. Oh, that hurts. He woke from the sleep of death, and bit by bit his sense of pain came back to him. On Battler's face, which still looked up at the heavens as he hung there pierced by the longsword, a suffering and alive expression gradually returned. You really are an idiot. A huge idiot. Battler noticed. This whole time Beato had been snuggling up against him, sleeping, and when he held her, he knew that it was not Beato but her crumbling remains. So when Battler just tried to hold that form as fragile as ash, then just like a sandcastle made on a beach washed away by a small wave, it fell apart and lost its form. At Battler's feet lay nothing but the ragged remnants of Beato's dress and a pile of ash. Now, on top of that pile of ash, he could see something sparkling gold. It was the husk of a single gold butterfly, which had been torn to bits. And so Battler knew. I've definitely reached the truth. However, I wasn't able to do it, while Beato still remained in this world. Beato, you really are an idiot. I finally reached the truth of this crazy riddle you've created. Just like you wanted. I did lose heart, and I finally made it there in the end. So why did you lose heart without waiting for me? You believed so strongly, didn't you, that I had definitely reached the truth. So why? Why couldn't you believe with me and wait? You aren't the one who's forcing endless torture on someone else. It's me. I've been the one putting you through such cruel torture. You resisted until the very end and kept on protesting to me. And even though I've now finally reached that truth, to think that you couldn't wait any longer, and that it's all too late. You idiot! Why did you lose heart? Oh? Before me. Damn it, it's my fault. I forced you to endure this torture. In fact, she's been doing a wonderful job sticking through it for so long. Over and over and over again, you kept on protesting to me, and because I was so incompetent, it was as though I couldn't understand the truth. Idiot, idiot, your riddles are too twisted. Why couldn't you say it more simply? Idiot. His scream of pain filled the sad cathedral. The sad witch who wasn't able to communicate the truth to Battler. The sad man who wasn't able to understand the witch's truth. Battler's howl of anger and sadness rang out for that pair. The clock hung in the cathedral showed that it was midnight on October 5th, 1986. Time was up for everything. You're kidding me. Don't set something like a time limit on this difficult riddle you're so proud of. No, I understand. Even though there was such a faint chance of that miracle happening, you prayed for it to happen. You're just like grandfather. You prayed for and bet on the power of a miracle, one so unlikely that it was totally impossible. Less likely than finding a bead you've dropped on a sandy beach. And that means I've now truly arrived at that miracle. However, your time didn't last long enough. If I had reached this point even a little sooner, if I could have seen the truth, even if it had been right before time was up, I might have been able to save you. But right now I've been run through pathetically. I can't even hold what remains of you. As I attempted to pull the longsword out, I tried stretching out my arms and kicking my feet, struggling to at least touch her remains, but nothing worked. Shit, damn it! At the time I noticed a golden glint on the palm of my hand. It was a single wing from a gold butterfly. That small fragment of gold was the only piece of Beato that I was permitted to touch. I cried with all my strength, gripped that fragment, and pressed it against my head, apologizing. Why couldn't I reach the truth earlier? Then I pressed it to my chest, promising that even now, I would never again lose the truth. When I pressed my hand against my chest, the sword piercing my chest cut my wrist and blood dribbled out. That blood spread throughout my fist, and it must have soaked that gold fragment with my red blood. It must have been the only way of telling her that I had found the truth she wanted me to know about. I clutched the wing of the gold butterfly with my freshly bleeding hand and pressed it against the red sword that pierced me. At this point, Ushidomiya Battler knows, and he understands. He has found this tale's everything. At that time, it seemed as though a faint golden light leaked out of the gaps in his clenched fist. The two witches had their backs turned, and Erica was laughing at Battler's corpse. That really is pathetic, Battler, son. I'll make your foolishness into a statue and for all eternity. Eh? At that time, Battler's chest, no, the red longsword that pierced Bella began to sparkle gold from deep within his chest. That bright golden light began to change the red sword's color, turning it gold. What's going on? But Battlers, what is this? Gah. Bella coughed up blood and groaned. His consciousness came back. His will to live, his will to fight came back. The red longsword that pierced Bella could no longer be described as such. By now it had become a golden longsword. Then slowly, gradually, it pulled itself out of Battler's chest. It finally pulled itself free and started dancing through the air, then stood up in front of Battler's eyes as though it knew who its master was. Battler, crawling on the floor and moaning, grabbed the golden longsword and, though it looked painful, he slowly rose to his feet once again. This sure is an elaborate act. Is this one of your tricks, Lambda? That glow, it couldn't be. Lambda stared wide-eyed at that bright golden glow in awe. When she noticed that Battler's resurrection wasn't part of the script Lambda had thought up, Baron also frowned slightly. Sorry, retrials will not be permitted. Cheester Sisters, eliminate this resurrection illusion. Understood. 45, 410, firing permission granted. Yeah, that's probably not gonna work. It's unable to target. IFF error code 999. 999, you say? Impossible. The Cheester sisters hesitated, unable to carry out Bernkastel's orders. Lambda, what kind of farce is this? The illusion of the witch has been completely destroyed, and the trial ended with our victory. Sorry, Bern. You'll have to stick around a bit longer. Isn't that right, Usidumia Battler? Yeah. Sorry to keep you waiting, Erica. Bernkastel, now it's time for my truth. Request for a retrial is accepted. The Assembly of Witches retracts the adjournment of the Court of Illusions. Objection. The trial has already been concluded and the results have even been announced. I don't give a fuck. Objection overruled. This sounds interesting. All verdicts are overshadowed by the new truth. Objection. Not only has Battler been banished as a player, he also doesn't hold the rank of witch. He is qualified to call for an appeal. Objection overruled. He already does have that. By the name of Lambda Delta, which of certainty I acknowledge it. Usidumia Battler, I acknowledge you as the new Golden Witch. No, as the new Endless Sorcerer, Usidumia Battler. What did you say? Battler got the rank of a witch? The rank of a witch, which she had desired for so long, had been granted to Battler so quickly. And on top of that, this wasn't anything temporary. This was an official proper authorization by Lambda Delta. Erica couldn't accept it, and her face turned bright red. It looks like that kid's game really will keep us entertained until the very end. Sure, I'll play along. Erica, you handle this. Oh my, look at those eyes. The red truth you've created with me is perfect. The construction of truth that makes Natsuhi the culprit is perfect. Battler certainly won't be able to break it. Of course, my master. There's no need to worry at all. Anyway, Cheester Sisters, my master ordered you to fire, right? How long is it going to take you to carry the order out? Error code 999. An access code is required to target the Territory Lord. Yeah. I told you he'd do it, yeah. Territory Lord? Who is? Who controls this fragment? I do. Territory Lord? You don't mean Battler is? Yes. Usidumia Battler has been authorized as the official Territory Lord of this fragment. Yeah, that's right. So you still don't understand? You don't know what that gold sparkle signifies? He's reached it, Battler has. He's made his way to the innermost depths of all truth. That means Battler's understood everything about this world, this tale, this game. In other words, he's reached the position of the game's master. I bet you don't want to believe it, right, Ben? Yeah, I don't want to believe it. Okay, I'll test Battler to see whether he really understands everything. Erica! Too bad, Erica. Just when you were finally appointed as the territory lord of this fragment, you've been deprived of that title. Oh, and I feel so bad for her. The new territory lord of this fragment is Ushidomiya Battler. Is it awful? Hey, don't you feel just awful? How does it feel to be deprived of the title just when you'd finally gotten it? Huh? How does it feel? Battler, if you think you can just prove my theory, just try it. It's impossible. The theory I've created has no holes. It's impossible to deny that Natsuhi is the culprit. I can construct a theory with someone other than Natsuhi as the culprit. It may be that your truth is impossible to disprove. If so, that means your truth won't be able to deny my new truth either. Battler spoke with the red truth aloud. Battler spoke with the red truth, allowed him by his status as a sorcerer. A culprit other than Natsuhi? How is that? Lanner, let's see where this delusion of Battler's sons takes us. Slowly, Lanner stepped forwards. In her hand was the red longsword of the Decalogue. She also had a blue short sword. In Battler's hand was a golden longsword. The two rivals once again, no, for the first time, they truly confronted each other. Battler, I've been waiting. Sorry, Ebu. You did not. Your return was sooner than I anticipated. Kill him! Lanner Enox! Lanner's form disappeared in an instant, as though her slow, dignified movements from before were only a lie. The curve drawn by the longsword of Red Truth burned itself into the readiness of those who saw it. Before anyone had enough time to follow that curve, it was already approaching Battler's chest. Lady Erica's reasoning has solved the fifth game. No new facts exist that overturn the truth created by this reasoning. It's possible to show a different truth by using a different interpretation. When multiple truths exist in parallel, the authenticity of both is questioned. In this closed-up world, it's possible for differing truths to exist at the same time. Furthermore, as long as multiple truths exist, it's impossible to claim that any of the truths are the single truth. In other words, even if I can't overturn Erica's reasoning by questioning its credibility and conquering it, I can defeat it. Pat's reasoning is perfect. You won't be able to overturn it easily, but still, if you can present a theory on par with Burns, the fight will come down to a verdict. That means either one of the truth might be defeated and denied. What a laughable script. I'd expect nothing less from a demon script. Then let me ask, what is this theory with someone other than Natsuhi as the culprit? Battler's golden longsword drew both red and blue curves at will. It's possible to construct it using the revenge of the baby from 19 years ago, the one from Aunt Natsuhi's confession. Noxus first. It is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the early part of the story. A person first introduced in the fifth game cannot be named as the culprit. What if the baby from 19 years ago was among us since the very beginning? For example, what if it was me? Noxus 8. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. Was there ever any foreshadowing showing that you might be the baby from 19 years ago? The red truth from the fourth game that I'm not the son of my mother Asuma. The feeling that Dad was hiding something in both the first game and this game. In particular, in this game it was made clear that there were some special circumstances having to do with my birth. Battler proposed that he might be the baby from 19 years ago and announced that he'd reconstruct the crime with himself as the culprit. As Lenore cautiously held her sword at the ready, she gauged the distance between them. Now that Battler had inherited the position of this world's territory lord and attained the rank of endless sorcerer, his movements surpassed human understanding. By now, the physical distance between them probably counted for nothing. After all, their extremely agile battle was surpassing the point where the concept of distance made any difference. A good start. Let us hear your theory with Battler as the culprit. Yeah, I'll let you hear it. I'll prove that this explanation also works, and that you can be certain Aunt Natsuhi is the culprit. Good though. If you're supposed to be the culprit, that creates several contradictions. I'll use those contradictions to read your feeble truth. I Furudo Erika, the detective and the witch of truth, will. This time Erika stepped forward. In her hand there appeared a scythe like one the Grim Reaper might hold. A ruthless gift for reaping everything that threatened her thievery. It's only possible for the crime to have taken place between midnight and 1 o'clock. During that 1 hour, you were in the dining hall of the mansion. Therefore, it was impossible for you to commit the crime. It has not been specified that the time of death was between midnight and 1. Therefore, it's possible that the crime didn't occur between midnight and 1. There's a restriction on any murders in the cousin room. From 1 a.m. until the discovery of the crime, it was impossible for any criminal action to occur in the cousin room. Leonard, now. Noxus 8. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. If the crime actually was carried out in the cousin room, clues must have been shown. Because clues were not given to the detective Lady Erika, who was on the watch for any abnormalities inside that room until morning, such a crime is impossible. By the time of the crime's discovery, you mean the point at which I let out a scream and everyone gathered there. Even if it was impossible to kill them before that point, it was possible to kill them afterwards. Never thought of that, yeah. Butler used a blue flash to deflect both of the red truth that Erika and Leonard had flung at him. Erika's eyes went wide. After all, what he said was completely absurd. At that time, they still hadn't been killed, even though corpses with their necks sliced open were laying right there. The death of the four in the cousin room has been proclaimed with the red text. Are you trying to use the illusion of the witch? Are you trying to resurrect George and the others using the concept of magic? The concept of magic even though they were dead at the time? I see, since you believe they were dead by that point, it probably looks as though the dead have been brought back to life to you. So this might look like magic in your eyes. In that case, I won't be the one to take the next shot at you. Fool! How often do I have to say it? The death of the four people in the cousin room have been proclaimed with the red truth. Furthermore, those corpses were witnessed by a large number of people. Furthermore, it's already been proclaimed in red that no examination of any corpses would lead to a mistaken result. Take that, dead people. When was that red truth made? Have you forgotten, miss? The fierce shower of red was blocked by a magical barrier set up by Renov, who suddenly appeared right in front of Butler. Now that Beato was gone, the demons shouldn't have been able to manifest themselves in the real world. However, he existed here, and calmly dealt with Erika's attack. You, Renov? How did you get here? Well, who cares? This all works out nicely. Now there's no need to go looking for you. I'll capture you here and deny your existence too. I'll leave it to you. Teach her that you can't control everything with a single arrogant truth. Yes, your majesty. Well then, allow me to be your opponent for a bit. What do you say, miss? In that case, when did you claim the red truth death proclamation happened? Are you saying you can pinpoint that? You can't pinpoint it, so you can't deny that the death proclamation was made at the time of the crime's discovery. When this court was opened, Lady Lambda Delta made the proclamation. She said this was midnight. A midnight answer session. The death proclamation was made at midnight on the second day, in other words, at the end of the game. That does not deny the possibility that the murder occurred after the morning of the second day, after the so-called discovery of the crime. Then you're saying that the victims were alive at that time, even though their necks were sliced open?
Did you see that yourself, Miss Detective? True, our current understanding is now that no corpse will lead to a mistaken examination, no matter who performs it. But no rule name so far has prevented something other than a corpse from being called a corpse.
Erica swung her scythe recklessly, but Renov blocked everything with elegant gestures made with the shield on one of his hands. So at that point in time, no one was dead? There weren't even wounds on their necks? In that case, why did Battler scream? Better watch your feet, little girl. Rushido Kinzo is already dead at the starting time for all games. A pitch-black hole opened beneath Erica's feet and swallowed her up. She could probably see through to the other side of the hole. It was the same thing you'd see if you looked down out of the sky out of the ceiling of this cathedral. Yes. Vigilia could already be seen in mid-air inside the cathedral. As Erica fell from the heavens, Vigilia was right below her and caught her in the end of the divine spear that sparkled blue. Shouldn't you rethink your reasoning? Kinzo doesn't exist, therefore the way for the bodies to disappear in your theory is a failure. Correct. Unless someone other than Kinzo makes the corpses disappear, your theory fails. God, this is nothing but... Vigilia's blue divine spear skewered and pinned Erica in mid-air. Erica struggled, filled with hatred, but she couldn't get it out easily. Then all around her, several small fast things clanked off the walls and enveloped her. Then 7 people manifested themselves at once. We are the 7 Sisters of Purgatory. Know this, foe of our master. You lowly paperweights. After George's death, his corpse was never moved. After Jessica's death, her corpse was never moved. After Maria's death, her corpse was never moved. After Rosa's death, her corpse was never moved. After Genji's death, his corpse was never moved. After Klaus's death, his corpse was never moved. Therefore, the corpses couldn't have vanished after being discovered. Your theory about Kinzo carrying the corpses away fails. So what? Even without Kinzo, I can explain how the corpses... I voodoo Eric, I have to revise my theory. I do. The detective does. Erica was probably capable of escaping this even with Kinzo's existence denied, by making only a small revision to her theory. However, to her having to revise a theory she had already created was extremely humiliating. Looks like you toyed around with your plan too much in order to corner Natsuhi like that.
You played around too much with your reasoning. At this point, your master isn't the only one who can speak of Kinzo's death with the red truth.
This is what you get for playing around in the witch's darkness. Know that, voodoo Erica. Of course, even Erica had doubted Kinzo's existence from the beginning. However, it had previously been impossible for anyone to deny his existence in that trial, except for Bernkastel and Lambda Delta, who had sided with each other. And because of the willful silence of those two, the truth about Kinzo had truly been unfixed. And yet to think that Battler had become a witch, a sorcerer, and capable of using red without proof. However, she had her own Inquisitor of Heresy, who could also use red without proof to counter. Noxus second. It is forbidden for supernatural agencies to be employed as a detective technique. If you would show that Kinzo has died with the red truth, then I demand that you display proof of the human's truth that could be used to make that point.
Forgive me, damn geezer. Overcome it, Battler. Don't let my corpse stop you.
Presentation of evidence. I'll present a corpse that could possibly be identified as Oshidomiya Kinzo's. Can you prove that this corpse is Oshidomiya Kinzo's? No matter how much it resembles him, unless you can prove that it is him, it is possible to claim that it was a substitute corpse from someone else. Can you show that it was Kinzo's corpse with the truth of humans? In this case alone, and with the red truth specifically, no counter-argument will be valid. It's gonna be the toes. Any counter with the red truth will be invalid? I guess that works. It may be true that the existence of third-party corpses has already been denied with the red. However, saying that with the red is forbidden, Battler has nowhere to run to. That's right. In this close of Urokenjima, there's no objective way to show that this corpse is grandfather's. And that itself suggests the possibility that this corpse is a body double. This unidentifiable corpse cannot serve as proof of Kenzo's death. Checkmate! My theory does not waver! Leonard had sealed off the Red Truth as a means of proving that Kenzo's corpse had been shown, even with the power of which his battler couldn't argue back. How are you going to prove that the corpse was Kenzo's if the Red Truth is sealed? It's impossible. It can't be done. With red or blue, right? He's gonna use gold. I knew it. I guarantee that this corpse is Ushiromiya Kenzo's corpse. Then, when Lanner met with Battler's golden flash, she was unable to fully block it with either her red longsword or her blue shortsword, and she was blown backwards into empty space. It was a direct hit without any miscalculation. Though she had always seemed as firm as a small giant before now, she was finally blasted away and slammed against the wall as though she was the slender girl she appeared to be. Lanner, what are you? A splendid gold truth. It is valid. Gold truth? The golden longsword, which had been drawing red and blue trails before now, finally drew a curve that retained its divine golden color. The truth it showed was neither red nor blue. It was gold truth. What is that? Lambda, does this follow the rules? Yes. Gold truth valid? The gold truth can only be used by the territory lord of this world. No, only by the game master himself. What did you say? Gold truth. A divine truth woven in a different fashion than red truth. Its strength is on par with the red truth. It may sometimes be inferior, but it is sometimes superior. That glitter is proof that Battler can truly understands Beato. I've shown it. Shown that the corpse is grandfather's. Yes, gold truth accepted. Unless Lady Erika's theory undergoes some revision, it will be destroyed. What the? Erika cried out in pain. It wasn't the pain of her body being pierced. It was the pain of her own theory being defiled. I see. It's like, and then there were no acroids. The hell is that? Just when did this... What a crazy mashup of great words. Well, it would be excessively unrefined to say any more. Even without saying another word, you fully made your truth about the corpse's disappearance understood. I see that thing you're thinking of doesn't conflict with any of the red in this trial so far. Your truth based around the revenge of the man from 19 years ago had been completely understood and processed. I proclaim that your truth has now been established. What the? Why is that, great Lady Lambda Delta? He still hasn't explained everything. I still have many ways to argue back, like Hideyoshi's closed room, the seal on Natsuhi's personal room, and the button in the closet. Do you really still think you're capable of defeating Battler's argument? Only Erika, the one who was supposedly so intelligent, couldn't understand. She couldn't understand that Battler had already reached the real truth. Because of this, Grandfather's absence has been verified, and the dishonorable relationship between Aunt Natsuhi and Grandfather has been removed from consideration. Aunt Natsuhi is pure and faithful. I won't permit this vulgar tale you're all so fond of. But Battler-kun... Furthermore, because we've raised doubts about the time of death for all who have died so far, the alibis for everyone besides Aunt Natsuhi go back to square one. If you try to argue that the crime was impossible for everyone except Aunt Natsuhi, it won't work. Lanner, who must have risen to her knees at some point, slowly stood up. The flesh from the golden longsword was still buried deep into her chest. Though pain didn't show in her expression, her outward movements clearly showed how serious the damage she had taken was. Even though she herself knew that the match was long over by now, Lanner didn't abandon her duty. However, in the cousin room, you witnessed corpses that were impossible to misidentify. Are you trying to say that was a lie? Noxus 7, it is forbidden for the detective to be the culprit. The detective is obligated to keep to an objective point of view. Your theory would mean you violated this obligation. Furuto Erika is the detective, and the me in this game isn't one. And by Noxus 9th, it is permitted for observers to let their own conclusions and explanations be heard. Noxus 8th, it is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. Until now, you have been the detective. Was it ever shown that you were not the detective this time and that you were an observer capable of inserting his own personnel ideas? Unless it was, you do not have the right to falsify your point of view. In this game, when I figured out the device connected to the epitaph riddle, I witnessed grandfather. As has already been shown in red, grandfather doesn't exist. It was impossible for me to witness it. Therefore, it has already been shown that my viewpoint wasn't objective. It is possible that it was just a sheet or something fluttering in the wind and rain, which you mistook for Kinzo. It cannot be used as foreshadowing to form a basis for Noxus 9. Mistaking one thing for another is a right permitted to all observers. There's the red truth that Beato showed during the 4th game. No person would mistake Ushidomiya Kinzo by sight. It's the red truth Beato used to counter my Bluetooth plan that someone disguised themselves as Kinzo to make it seem as though grandfather had appeared. In other words, on this island, all illusions that might lead someone to mistake something for grandfather, including someone else pretending to be grandfather, most certainly cannot work. All of Aunt Natsuhi's schemes to make it seem grandfather existed were hidden in the relative's blind spots. All of them clever tricks like he was here just a second ago or he's in his study alone now. They never try to make anyone mistake something they saw for grandfather himself, so there are no contradictions. If they had tried to dress one of the servants in grandfather's robe, it probably would have been seen through in an instant. It has been guaranteed that none of the characters in this tale would mistake something for grandfather by sight. If someone claims to have seen grandfather despite that, it becomes a lie. Allowing lies to be contained within their observations is a right granted to everyone, except for just one person, and that person is the detective. Because of the right granted by Noxus 9, anyone is allowed to mistake a sheet in the wind for something else and tell about it. However, mistaking it for grandfather in particular is not permitted in this game due to the red truth. So once you claim to have seen Kinzo, it was no longer misrecognition but intentional. In other words, this proves that the observer was not objective, is what you are saying. In this case, unintentional misrecognition is not permitted by the rules of this game. However, it is possible to intentionally lie about seeing something you never saw, and that is an action not permitted to a detective, who is obligated to maintain an impartial perspective. Forgive my crazy argument, it's all finished now. No, it's okay. Because men like you exist in this world, you will surely protect the fragile truth from any kind of pride. You will surely protect the real truth from the tyranny of any possible truth that might claim to exist as the sole truth and try to exterminate all fragile truth. Battler's golden longsword drew a massive blue arc, though splitting the heavens. I'm glad I could fight with you. Therefore, my perspective in this game is based upon the 9th, not the 7th. The fact that I claim to have seen grandfathers prove. The noise that rang out across the cathedral was the sound of Leonard's longsword clattering to the floor. Simply letting go of that was the same as resigning to the proud Leonard. Though the blue trail Battler had drawn was aiming right for the top of Leonard's head, it stopped a hair's breadth away. If it hadn't, Leonard would probably have been annihilated without leaving a single scrap of flesh behind. I resign. I give up on denying your truth. I've paid my debt. Let honor be to your father. The Decalogue was neither arrogant nor judgmental. Honor to my father. Leonard sat down on the floor and completely abandoned her will to fight. What are you doing, Leonard? Lame, pathetic. You stupid half-wit murder doll. You've tainted the honor of your father. Shame on you. You still call yourself Mystery's Wedges? Will you surrender to magic? The history of the mystery genre won't allow that. You're the one that doesn't understand what mystery is all about. If you see mystery as nothing more than a weapon with which to sneer at your opponent intellectually, I won't let you ever say so again. Well, I'll present a truth that conflicts with yours. Aunt Natsuhi was threatened by a phone call over the internal line sent by the man from 19 years ago, me. His goal was to make Aunt Natsuhi look like a murderer. From the beginning, this has all been a drama of revenge, intent on framing Aunt Natsuhi. That's wrong. It's a drama of revenge against the Ushidomiya family that Natsuhi thought up. Your theory outright opposes mine. You still can pull out the blue spear that's sticking through you, right? Yeah, that's right. From Erika, I haven't heard of a single way for the corpses to disappear that doesn't involve Kinzo. Looks like your theory is about to be denied, doesn't it? The spear is just... You paperweights, get out of my way. The deeply piercing blue spear and the 7 red stakes tormented her theory. They won't come out. They won't come out. I acknowledge the mistake in Erika's reasoning and the need for revision. What the, my master? Watching Erika's face contorted with pain as she struggled to escape from the spear, Bernkastel spoke this with a disgusted expression. Faced with the facts, Bernkastel had acknowledged Erika's loss herself. Erika gazed at her master, who was no longer confident in Erika's own victory, with a mixture of shock and despair. I don't give a damn about your pride. How long do you intend to shame yourself like that? You, my double, who's been granted the same blue hair as me, how long do you intend to hang there pierced through like that? I guess I'll just have to descend myself. Looks like I didn't need a piece after all. Ah, what a pain, what a pain, what a total pain. I don't need a piece, I'll just throw it away. The disappointing, regretful, discouraging, hopeless letdown of a misfire. Do it quickly, filth. Didn't I tell you to revise that pathetic theory of yours? Yes, my master. I'll revise my theory. As Erika's face twisted in humiliation and tears streamed from her eyes, she withdrew and revised her own theory in accordance with her master's order. Mumbling quietly, she made various revisions for the blue truth, had them acknowledged by Lambda Delta, and finally had the blue spear smashed and was freed. Though that blue truth did indeed explain how the corpses had disappeared, it couldn't conceal its desperation and was a bit of truly shabby reasoning. My master, I've taken it out. My theory is perfect. Are you kidding me? It's horribly pathetic. But I'll forgive you. Because your face and your theory are so lame, it's funny. Erika was taunted by her master, who wore an ugly expression. She thrashed about on the floor, crying bitter tears. The wounded Lanor stepped out before her, as though shielding her, and she spoke to Bernkastel as well as Balor. Regardless of how pathetic it might be, Lady Erika's revised truth is valid. Yeah, that's right. Regardless of my truth, yours can exist at the same time. That's what this world is like. No one can disprove them, so even if there are various truths, and even if they contradict each other wildly, they can exist at the same time. Here as many truths exist as you can imagine. No one can just deny that all on their own. Yes, that is true. I won't let anyone deny Lady Erika's truth. Leonard. As long as I'm here, I will protect that truth. No matter how pathetic it is, I would not laugh at that truth. The words of Glanera, whom Erika had previously looked down upon, led Erika to once again thrash about on the floor, sobbing. And because no unique truth exists, everything is covered in darkness. Therefore, while both my theory and Erika's theory are impossible to deny, neither is a unique truth. They are vague, and while neither can be denied, neither is certain. Because there has been no decision, the illusion of the witch still exists. The only one who will be permitted to expose it is neither Erika nor the rest of you. It's me alone. I won't let anyone expose Beatrice's illusion except me. The verdict is revised. Because of the truth presented by Oshido Miyabella, Erika's truth is no longer unique. However, Erika's truth is impossible to disprove. Therefore, both of their truths exist together. The conclusion of the fifth game is rescinded. The game goes back to being even, and I transfer the position of Game Master from myself to the Golden Sorcerer, Oshido Miyabella. Oshido Miyabella, step forward. I appoint you as the new Game Master. Will you accept? You will, right? Do it, you new endless witch. Yeah, I'm the new Game Master. I'll weave the sixth game. Erika, let's sell things for good this time. Stand up. Yes, I will stand. I'll make you regret giving me a chance to clear away this shame. My master, please give me an opportunity to fight with Balor again in the sixth game. Sure, of course, I'll give you a chance. Wow, incredible. She said I'll give you a chance. Isn't this a miracle from the Witch of Miracles, Bernkastel? Erika, you've miraculously managed to escape with your life. In the sixth game, Battler's game, expose the truth no matter what, unless you want to be tossed aside into the darkness of oblivion. Yes, my master. Leonard. Of course. I will give it my all in the next game as well. I won't pretend to be a guest any longer. Together with Glenna, I'll tear your game to bits. Sure, I'll invite you to my sixth game. Sorry about that tile of yours. Checkmate of the whatever, it isn't cutting it. It's your game, you can decide the name yourself. Just bring it on. I fooled Erika, I'm a detective, before I am a witch. I acknowledge you as the new master of this game, and I issue a proclamation of war. I'll definitely expose it all. I'll kill you. Golden Sorcerer, Oshido Miyabella. Yeah, come at me with all you've got. Fudoro Erika. Just watch, Beato. I'll take charge of your game. And in this next game, I'll prove that I completely understand all of your riddles. Okay. Oh, that song with lyrics now. Okay, what do we get now? The Reckoning. Oh, hold on. Ah, I see. Is it the tips thing that appeared now? Nothing really new. Oh, right. We still have her. Can I execute you? No. What about you? Oh, you. Oh, okay. The Beatrice on the highest plane and the one who created this world. In the fourth game, she entrusted everything to Bella and abandoned her position as game master. She lost even the will to express herself, to say nothing of the will to fight, and is now little more than a doll. In the world of the game board, those who do not fight have no significance. Her existence has been growing and substantial, and it will probably break down and disappear before too long. Okay. Oh, I wanted to execute you. Went missing. Was murdered sometime after the early morning. Phone call from which Natsuki learned that he was still alive. His corpse was not found, but his death was guaranteed by Bancastle with a red truth. Okay. It's still the same. Yeah, I mean, they didn't die. Am I blind again, or can I just leave now? Because you said something must be new, but I don't really see anything new. I'm not sure if we got to see this, or if we got to see this just now, but... nothing here. At least nothing I haven't already looked at. I guess the tips were added. Yeah, I thought that it meant that the tips were added because I don't think that section was here before. I was just looking at them, wondering if there was anything new in them. But I guess I'm as I said, I'm not sure if we saw this before. But yeah, it's not really much new stuff. Oh, hold on. No. I didn't want to click it. Stop. I wanted to read the text. I clicked one time too much. It's almost 11. I'm not going to start episode 6 right now. Sorry. But what the hell is gonna happen in episode 6 though? Yeah, I wanted to click on it just so I can read the text, but I should have only highlighted it with the mouse. Clicking on it already starts it. Episode 6, Dawn of the Golden Witch. Good morning. Now the curtain shall finally rise on a game presented by that Battler Summer. Will Battler Summer manage to successfully and spectacularly fill the enormous role of Game Master? Let us bear witness to this flight from the opposite side of the chessboard. There no longer is a difficulty level. This is no longer a hint, but a confession. Okay, we'll see. I mean, there's still 3 more episodes, so I'm sure we'll still get lots of weird things. I can't imagine this episode to just explain everything now, because then why would we have 2 more? Also, are they claiming now, like, the end of the question thing? Was it just Battler presenting a different theory so that Erika's theory would no longer be the only one, and therefore it could be, contested? It could be said that it's not necessarily true? Or does it actually mean that it is really true that he is the culprit? And the culprit in all episodes? Because that would be, I don't know, it would be a bit weird. But, well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say too much. Now we'll learn more than enough in due time, I'm sure. And I can stop the recording for now.